Hello, my name is Kai, and I am a bit of a rambler. I like to travel, learn, and tell stories. Today, I want to talk about frugal travel. Because, yes, you can do it, yes, it doesn't cost much, and there are a few very simple things that you can do to travel well within your means. Like I said, the way to travel under $500 a month. It's not some sort of trick or loophole or whatever. It's a global loophole. No, because it's in every single country except the US almost. The cost of living is cheaper in other countries, especially if you are from the US. If you are from Western European countries, most of the world is also cheaper. But if you're from the US, almost every other country is much cheaper than you're used to. And as American friends and travelers have told me, unbelievably cheaper. You can't believe that a hostel costs $100 a month, but they do. And once you're living it, it's weird, and it's sort of I don't know, travelers seem to relegate that to the part of their mind, where it's it only cost me $100 a month, so it must not be as good as a regular dorm bed arrangement. But it's that's what it is. It's a dorm bed arrangement with hot shower, and there's a restaurant right downstairs with a pool and beanbags, and it's great. It just happens to cost $100 a month because you're in a country with a lower cost of living. And you can access those costs of living immediately. All you have to do is buy the ticket and go there. If you go to Cambodia, you're paying $100 to $150 for a month of staying in a hostel, and $300 roughly for a private room, or a private room in a hotel or whatever. But yeah, $100 to $300 will get you a very comfortable living arrangement. And you can spend $100 if you want to live a little more cheaply, and you'll be in a communal living situation. But their hostels have, like I said, pools right downstairs, huge lounges, rooftop verandas to hang out on. It's a good deal for $100 a month. And then, yeah, like I said, $300 and you get a private room. So you can go do that. That's what I'm saying. That is accessible to you right now. For most people from a wealthier country, especially the US, travel is inherently frugal because the cost of living is so much lower. It's not about how much money you make or how hard you work or anything like that. It's simply another choice. The option, the quality, the characteristics are the exact same. It's just that the price is much lower if you are not living in one of the most expensive countries in the world. Now, if you are already living in Cambodia or a very cheap country, learning English and becoming an English assistant in pretty much any of those countries or in any of East Asia, that's your ticket out of there. Free apps will teach you fluent English. English is the lingua franca. You learn that. You can help teach in an English school, and those pay better than most jobs you'll get being a monolingual, like a frickin' American. But every country has a different cost of living, and for most of you, you can move to a country with a lower cost of living. And the cost of living isn't just housing. The cost of living is the groceries, the utilities, which if you're traveling are almost always free, access to experiences. In a lot of these countries, you can just take a bus somewhere for $3 and have a literally unforgettable experience. You can go to a volcano, you can go to one of those 14-step waterfalls with tide pools that you can swim in, and those Dr. Fish, the goby fish or whatever, will eat the dead skin off your feet naturally in these Thai step waterfall tide pools. How much would you pay to do that in your own home country? Anywhere in Thailand, one of those waterfalls is a $10 bus ride away, maximum. A lot of those pickup truck taxis they have will take you there for, 50 cents for very cheap. Every service, in almost every country, your equivalent service that you're receiving now and paying out the butt for in one of these wealthier countries, the equivalent service is cheaper and often the exact same or better. Service workers are better in almost every country because they aren't as desperate as Americans and bitter toward their job and angry at the customers because they're they have to do great this shift or they're screwed because they can't afford their rent. So you're going to get better service in all these other countries, and you don't pay tips because that is a crazy system that Americans invented to make their richest richer. So just by traveling, if you do go to a restaurant, you're saving 20% on a food dish that is already 90% cheaper than what you're used to paying for. That $25 plate of spaghetti is now $2.50, and you're not paying any tips to the service people, but their wages are fair compensation for the work they do and the cost of living in that country, as is the case in most countries and service workers. So you are paying for the meal and the service a fair price according to the cost of living that that restaurant and its workers have determined. It just costs less in other countries. Dental work, medical care, I have terrible teeth. I'll go more into detail, but you can go to hospitals with the exact same technology. These doctors have the exact same training that American doctors have because Thailand heavily invested into the dental field 20 years ago and get great root canals, teeth whitening, crowns. They have in-house labs where they can print the crowns for you in a day or two instead of waiting 3 weeks in the States. And all of this will be at least 50% less, even without insurance. And that's for the most prestigious hospitals in the biggest cities. If you go to the smaller clinics, which still have all the same tools and expertise, you're paying 30% easily for the exact same procedure, or less. So the thing to bear in mind here is that when you travel to a country that is cheaper, you're not taking a step down in quality in any way. You still have the same level of technology, the same level of building material, the same quality of everything. It's just that things cost less in other places. That's the most salient fact you have to keep in mind. You have the same quality, but it costs less. Do you like drinking all day? Bottles of booze are less. You want to buy a new phone every month? Phones are less. You want to take transportation all around a country the size of Texas for $2. Transportation costs way less in every single country except the US. And the longer you travel, the more you're going to get used to everything being cheaper, and it'll just make sense. So you'll see these opportunities. You won't see a bus for $5 and be like, "Ooh, I better buy the $25 ultra elite bus ticket so that I get to that town. Like, that bus is definitely better." No. That bus company has figured out that tourists have anxiety and are willing to pay $25 to not have that anxiety. And if it's your first time traveling, sure, go ahead. Like, pay $25 for 10 miles or whatever. But there is a bus with the exact same quality. They have USB plugins, reclining seats, air conditioning. It's all there. But the normal cost will be what the locals pay, $5, something like that. A sleeper bus for, 300 miles or something, yeah, that's going to be closer to $25. But there will be the elite diamond status for $125, and you don't have to pay that because look at the two bus companies. You get the exact same bus with the exact same services, and it just costs $25 instead of $125. You can pay more if you want to, but you don't have to. So when a lot of my American friends or people from wealthier countries tell me that they wish they could travel and it's just not that easy because they have so many bills to pay so they can't save any money, immediately the answer is move. Vote with your feet. Don't pay into a system that you cannot survive in, especially one as corrupt and unfair as the American corporate system, where you're only allowed to choose a couple of pathways to eventually not be starving or desperate. No, there's 200 other countries where the cost of living is much closer to where it should be, what makes sense. Houses are some concrete, pieces of wood, and drywall on them with a few doors and windows. Why do they cost $500,000 or $340,000, whatever the average is right now? in the States when the exact same thing can be made in other countries for 80,000 US dollars? Why does construction on a road in the US take literally 4 years? I just saw the intersection I used to live at, and the construction's going on. Nothing has changed, just is crazy. But in India, Thailand, China, Japan, they can fix a road in days to maybe a couple weeks, but never more than that. It's because the systems are better. Now, does that mean that every single thing in the country is better? No. I would argue yes in some countries, but that's totally personal value judgment. But of course, no. Everything isn't going to be great in a country because one thing is better than what you're used to. But their infrastructure system is better. That's why they can repair roads faster and better that last longer than US roads. The point of this is to illustrate that travel is frugal because the costs are so much lower. You are not making more money, although I was when I started teaching English than I was in the States. But you're generally not making more money. And you don't have to. You just have to make enough money to live within this much lower cost of living. You can be making $5,000 a month in the US, but the amount of money you have to spend to live an uncomfortable life where a sprained ankle can suddenly take away any savings you had, where you could barely afford groceries for years. I could barely afford groceries for years. I mean, I was budgeting all the time when I was living in the US. I was like, okay, cool, I can buy steaks this week, or like ground meat, more likely. And then I had nothing left because I had just budgeted enough that I was getting enough calories so that I could work 40 plus hours a week at a job I didn't care about so that I could continue existing and make money for the guy above me. And there are plenty of judicial, legislative, and political policies that have led to a bunch of terrible exploitative practices in the US and many places. But the fact on the ground is that the cost of living is too high for regular American citizens. You can just step out of that rat race and head on over to someplace with a lower cost of living. Everything else is immaterial. I've repeated it 100 times because I really think it's the most important thing you're going to get from this episode. The quality is the same, but the cost of living, the price of everything in general, is lower. So you can imagine you're looking at two identical boxes of blackberries in the supermarket. One of them is $10, one of them is $1. The one that's $10, it's organic, they're pre-washed for you, no pesticides. And the $1 one is organic, pre-washed for you, and no pesticides. The only difference is that the $10 one says flavor, and the $1 one has a sticker that says sabor, which means flavor in Spanish. I would buy the $1 one every time because it's the exact same product, exact same freshness, same date of packaging, same everything. It just costs 90% less. That's what frugal traveling is to me. There's a bunch of countries. Some of them you choose to pay $3 for a 1-minute bus ride to the supermarket. And in some of them, you pay $3 to go 100 miles between two cities. And I started to say this, but I got a wee bit distracted. The longer you travel, the better you'll get at this. The more you will save just from everything being cheaper, and then you recognizing, right, that is the same thing. It's not a trick. There are two identical buses going to the identical destination with identical services and identical times, but this one costs 80% more than the other one. Choose the cheaper one. Those opportunities are all around. Which brings me to the next point. Learn. Whatever country you're in, learn the language. Even if you're terrible at it, if you try to speak it, people will help you way more. And they'll tell you about the local deals a lot of the time in English or in French or whatever language you actually speak. If you try to speak in their language, half the time they're going to speak back in your language once they realize how slowly you're learning their language, as is the case for me. And they'll be like, you don't have to do this. You can just go here, and they'll recommend you a supermarket or a transportation center or whatever you're looking for, but the local, cheaper option at the same quality. So, yeah, learning about the culture you're going into gives you so much more leeway and opportunity to lower your costs even further. Oh, and everywhere haggles. Any outdoor local market, you can almost always haggle. Even in the U.S., that works at garden markets, but it's like frowned upon in the U.S., But in other countries, it's normal. So if you know you're going to buy a lot of tomatoes that day, you can get a cheaper price on the tomatoes or avocados or sushi or whatever. If it's an outdoor market and there's a guy in a stall, you can almost always take a little money off the top of the sticker price or what they tell you. I don't usually do that because the prices are so good anyway, but if I feel like they're not, I'll definitely haggle or I'll go on to the next person because there's 1,000 people selling tomatoes, and most of them are going to offer you the fair price. One guy's going to be like, 8? When everybody knows the price is 4. And if you're like, it's 4, and he doesn't give you it for 4, if he says like 7, and you don't want to deal with that, just go to the next person. Her tomatoes are 4 or 3 or whatever. But you have so much more free time when you are traveling because you don't have to work as much to maintain your existence. You can spend that time walking to 4 different people selling tomatoes, learn the normal price, buy the price from the cheap person with the better tomatoes. I keep talking about this because this is literally how I do my shopping. I always look for an outdoor market. There's hundreds of people in a line with stalls, and you walk around, figure out what the price is supposed to be, buy the cheapest food that looks the best. It's a straightforward process, but going to those live markets with actual people like the local markets, instead of going to a supermarket, even a local supermarket, that's gonna save you like half the price most of the time. I remember a bag of limes was 10 quetzals, and then I went to the market, and the same bag, but maybe even more, I don't know, was 5 quetzals. It looked like the same size bag to me of limes. I still have the same one bag of limes I bought for 5 quetzals, which is like 60 cents or 70 cents, whatever. Okay, so traveling saves you money if you're from a wealthier country. Full stop. Buying local groceries, the more local the better, saves you money. Very easy way to be frugal. Cooking for yourself saves you an insane amount of money. It's just so cheap. Again, I'm going to throw this out there. I almost never cooked for myself for years while I was traveling in the beginning because food is so cheap anyway that fits into the less than $500 a month budget I was talking about. But if you do cook for yourself, you're easily living on less than $3 a day for full meals. Chorizos here are 1 quetzal. So you'd have to buy about 8 chorizos for $1. Then you can buy a bag of onions and a bag of tomatoes for another $1.20. So for $2.20, you have 8 chorizos and over a pound of onions and tomatoes each. Same for potatoes. So on $3 a day, you can have a full fridge after a few days and make, as many different dishes as you want. Your food budget to buy all the food you want can very easily be $20 a week, and you can buy marinated pork, any vegetables you want, any fruit you want, steaks, bacon, like everything is there, and local prices are cheap. So if you can cook for yourself, even if you can't cook for yourself, go learn to make anything, any basic cooking. Just learn how to fry a steak on both sides. All you have to do is put the steak in a hot pan and make sure it gets hot on both sides. Like, that's it. Beef is much safer than pork, so you don't have to worry about undercooking it too much. That's why you can get a rare steak in restaurants. So if you learn to cook at all, it turns out that cooking is just making things hot in a pan, at least, the fundamental part of cooking. And yeah, $20 a week, you can eat anything you want and just cook it for yourself. Most hostels have a communal kitchen that you can use every day if you want to. And this is just frugal travel. That's why we're going down this road. If you have, $7 a day, then yeah, well, just have other people cook your food for you. Fine. But it's pretty nice that you can get exactly what you want and spend $20 a week on all the foods you want and cook yourself at home. Cooking for yourself is a pretty good one. Backpacking, huge. Many countries, you can camp wherever as long as you're not in the way of something. So for a long time in Thailand, I was living in the city, and at sunset, I just went out of town, set up my hammock, which has a built-on custom-made bug net and a custom-made rain tarp that I added onto the hammock. I would set that up, takes me 5 minutes, go to sleep, right? No bugs. If it rained, it was just awesome because I had a clear rain tarp, getting the water off of me. I really want to make another setup like that. And then in the morning, I would wake up, pack everything in, go into town, and get food, go to the next temple I was walking to the other day. It's pretty easy to just find in Thailand and Vietnam and a lot of places. In Japan, you can just camp anywhere, even in city public parks. Just don't be there all day or, don't be an idiot when you're traveling. Don't cause trouble for others. But in Japan, it's okay if you camp in public places. There's a few countries like that, but even in Thailand, you can't camp in public parks, or Vietnam, but there are jungles and forests around every single town. So you walk into the jungle, put a camp down, totally fine. Pack it up, go back into town the next day, spend a few weeks in the town that way, go to the next one, or do that for a week. You've saved enough money to pay for a week in a hostel. So yeah, shoestring budget. If you have a backpack and a collapsible tent, or better yet, I think, a collapsible hammock with a bug net that you put over. Okay, I'm definitely going to do a hammock story with this setup. I have to do a whole episode on that because I loved hammock camping. But backpacking and camping outside of towns and cities, and sometimes in cities if the country allows it, is great. It's free, it's culturally accepted, and you're right there visiting and learning like you want to, but you don't have to pay any money. You can just live there also. Another big one is get into fixing things. DIY in general saves a ton of money. You have a lot more time traveling because everything costs less, so you don't have to work as much. With all that extra time, start fixing things yourself, because the more things you fix, the less money you're going to have to fix when that same thing breaks the next time, because the same things always break. Your toilet is going to break in some way. If you learn the 3 things on a toilet that you can just take out and then replace, 80% of your repair costs for toilets are gone. It's basically, I guess it's kind of the same thing with a car. If you know how to replace your oil, swap out the air filter, swap out the cabin filter for a better smelling car, and change the battery, 80% of your car maintenance costs are taken care of. And that's for everything. Most things, whenever you get a plumber in, right, or an electrician, and they ask what it is, they're like, it's always that. It's always that thing. It's always the battery. It's always the whatever it is. It's because a lot of these systems have a few parts that fail much more often than other parts because they're used more, or that's just how the system works. But if you learn to fix those things, you don't have to pay for repairs, and you can customize your area. So is the shower not spraying out enough water? That is almost certainly calcium buildup if it's spraying in different directions or not enough water. So you get a thing of white vinegar, pour it into a plastic bag, tie the plastic bag so that the vinegar goes over the nozzle of the shower, leave it there overnight. In the morning, the shower is there's going to be no buildup blocking the water. Water's going to come out straight, and it's going to come out more powerful. Did your favorite shirt rip? You can sew it. Oh, you know what? Talking about that, you can buy oversized clothes and take the hour listening to a podcast. All you do is cut along the seams, cut an inch off of each side seam on a t-shirt straight up into the sleeves, and then you flip the shirt inside out, re-sew those same seams you just cut 1 inch inside, and now that shirt is your size. And the local markets, you can buy a new shirt for like $2 or $3 in so many countries anyway, so it's not a huge deal. I'm just saying, in general, the more you learn to repair things yourself and DIY things you want fixed, the cheaper things are going to be in general. Oh, and let's talk about housing again, money for money's sake. So I stay at a place for a month first and see how I like it, because if I like it more, I'll rent it for a second month. Monthly rates are almost always cheaper. Sometimes the weekly rates are the same as the monthly rates, and then I might try a week first if I'm not sure. But I always only get 1 month. I used to get 3 months or 2 months, however long I stayed, but now I'll get 1 month, and then I'll ask them, hey, if I stay 1 more month, do you think you can give me a discount on the second month? And that works almost every time, because the not hassle of having to clean your room and, get it ready for the next guest, just making sure they still have a tenant in there, they're happy to be like, yeah, sure, it's $9 instead of $10, and you just saved $30, 10% of your price, and sometimes it'll be cheaper. It's usually cheaper than that, actually. I would say you'll probably get knocked $2 off, so like 20% of your cost is pretty common for a second or third month. Again, none of these you have to do if you feel like you have the money and all that kind of stuff. This is just for frugal traveling. And for that one, I think that's pretty fair, because if you're staying an extra month, they don't have to do anything. They're just going to keep collecting that money, and nothing changes. So yeah, it should be cheaper to stay the longer you stay at a place. Frugal travel. If you like the backpacking thing, then oh boy, because backpacking, your housing, no cost anymore. $100 a month is not very expensive anyway, but when you have no housing costs, it's amazing how little you can live on. I think I mentioned before I was on like $170 a month. I wasn't living that was in Taiwan. I wasn't living in a house because Taiwan is so nice anyway, and it's perfectly acceptable to camp on the beaches there. So I would camp on the beach, walk around, answer phone calls, teach a little English each day, make $10 a day maybe, like not much, just talking a little bit when someone called up. But I was still making money, because $10 a day is $300 a month. The only money I spent was on food. There was a beach shower I used. Stay clean, there are public restrooms everywhere. The food is only $1 or $2 for great food in a lot of places. And I spoiled myself by going to the buffets, the vegetarian Buddhist monk buffets they do. It's not really all you can eat, but it's very cheap for extremely good, healthy food. So you can make a little money just on your phone, and then you can camp the rest of the time and walk around to different parts of the country and see whatever you want to see. Your phone's always traveling with you. That's your source of income. Your backpack, your house is on your back. You can fix anything you want to because you have all day. You have probably what most Americans especially are going to think of as too much time, because they're not throwing their time away making money for somebody else. Oh, I guess the setup cost is like a SIM card. But a data-only SIM card in most countries is $10 a month for unlimited data. It's cheap. Okay, I'll always talk about the FEIE, because it doesn't get more frugal than not paying taxes, which is very fair since you are not living in that country. But if you are outside of the US for more than 330 days out of a 365-day period, then you don't pay taxes on the first $125,000 of your income. Earned income. So you still pay money on investments, but you don't pay any money on those phone calls where you teach English online, or if you're teaching English at a school, or if you're working a service job in a foreign country or a seasonal field worker or whatever you're working on, if you're outside of the country for more than 11 months of the year, of a 12-month period, not the calendar year, of any 12-month period, then you don't pay taxes on the first 126,500 of your earned income. Always good to know about that. Fill out Form 2555. That's it. Takes an extra 10 minutes. Don't feel like you have to do anything. You don't have to join in the activities that everybody else is doing. Would you rather sleep literally all day for the first 2 weeks that you're traveling? Do that. Because you have as much time as your life gives you. And you only have that much time. So you shouldn't do things that you don't want to do, and you should do the things that you do want to do. Don't spend money doing anything you don't want to do if you're trying to travel frugally. So, read a book all day, binge watch all of The Good Place in 3 days like I have done in the past 3 days. I just don't want anyone to spoil it for me, whatever it is. There's all these YouTube videos that say Eleanor keeps figuring it out. And I'm like, okay, I have to watch that before someone spoils it for me. Because it's pretty good. I feel like I guessed it. I took a little note about something. But I still have a few episodes left. So we'll see if I was wrong. So that is to say, you can do that. Or every day you can go to the beach and play volleyball. Or go to the mountains and hike a new mountain. Just do what you want to do. And don't do what you don't want to do. Don't spend money on things that you don't want to do. Oh, we should totally go to the bar. It'll be so much fun. If you're a bar guy, yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. But if you're not into the bar and you're like, oh, that's a lot of loud noises and I have to pay $6 for a drink, where a drink, at a restaurant is like $1 there normally, and you want to save money, just don't do it. Do what you want to do. Don't be a dick, and just be like, oh no, I'm good, thanks. Just do what you want to do. And if your thing is saving money right now, then don't do very expensive things. In Thailand, you can go to the police station and pay like $30 to shoot at a firing range. And it's kind of crazy that I haven't done it yet. I don't really like guns, especially in the US, for obvious shooty children reasons. But I think I'd have a good time shooting a pistol at a firing range in Thailand. So next time I'm in Thailand, I'm going to do that. But that costs $30. If I didn't have the $30 to spare, I wouldn't. On the flip side, I have definitely done things that I wouldn't have been able to afford when I was teaching on my phone making $300 a month by camping outside. I had an extra $150 a month, and that meant every week I could do something as expensive as firing at a gun range or going to the go-kart course. I don't know why I'm naming things I haven't done. Go to the all-you-can-eat buffets twice a week. That is one that I've definitely done. By saving that $150 a month, the buffets are like $7 each. So actually, yeah, like 3 times a week I could go to the all-you-could-eat buffet. Or I travel between cities also in like the luxury $25 buses I was talking about with electricity and the seats fold all the way back. So you can do what you want to do. You just have to make sure you understand your priorities and what your money is worth. Yeah, so don't do what you want to do. Live within your means. Do what you want to do. And if you want more means, then yeah, that's what you should do. Expand that. Like, I wanted to make the same amount of money and do less work. So I saved all the money that I made, or that's not true at all. I saved as much money as I wanted to after eating the best food and drinking and traveling and hiking mountains. But I saved all the other rest of that money and invested it every single month. And that slowly gave me enough interest payments where now I don't have to work if I don't want to. And I don't want to. I mostly don't. If you don't want to travel outside of the US or outside of your country right away, there are plenty of places to travel within your country, and that is still possible to frugal travel. RVs, in the US especially, they're like $3,000 in the right states. Just go to a different state, or go out of the cities. A few grand, let's say $5,000. For $5,000, you will get a working RV with a full kitchen, all the utilities. It might have solar panels on top, but everything is going to be working in a $5,000 RV. You just look, and there are $5,000 RVs. And a lot of them are literally $1,000 in the US, and they're $1,000 because one of the windows is missing, or like, oh, there's no windshield. And the engine works great. There's only 10,000 miles, but no windshield, so we can't use it. The tires are new, but no windshield. Just get it, and then get a new windshield for it. Some of these, it's crazy the deals that you can get on RVs in the States, because we're such a, RVE country. We're so independent and all that. So you can get one, and that $5,000, I don't know what your rent is, but I took care of that cost in a couple, 3 months maximum at any of my apartments in the US, paid for the RV. You live in the RV for a year and you're saving at least $10,000. You are saving a lot if you live in an RV and you can drive anywhere you want to go. You can get insurance, and you can get very, very cheap roadway assistance plans. So if anything basic goes wrong, Progressive will get a local company to drive out to you and pour in coolant in your radiator, swap out the battery, tow you to the next town. If that happens. If you take care of your RV, that shouldn't really happen. But if you don't know anything about cars, get roadside assistance. It's like an extra $20 a year for the plan, and you get so much great value from that. Oh, the other great thing about RVs is that the insurance is so cheap. It's like $200 a year. It's crazy. Mine was less. Mine was like $120 a year for Winnebago Brave, 24 feet, I think, something like that. I couldn't believe it. I still don't understand it. Maybe it's because they're so popular. The brand has more parts available, so they're not going to break. I don't know. But anyway, you'll probably get a lower cost on your insurance than you think. And whatever your insurance is, it doesn't really matter, because after that initial cost, and even if you have to swap out a part, unless it's the alternator and the engine, you're saving money almost immediately. It's crazy. It's crazy living in an RV with a full-sized queen bed, hot shower, clean water, electricity on the walls, so much storage space. You have a very nice studio apartment that you can move around, and you don't have to move it all day if you don't want to. There are lots of places to stealth camp and just comfortably camp. A lot of towns don't mind if you're outside of the town, or they have specific places RVs are allowed to park. You can always sleep in Walmart parking lots nationwide. You don't have rent all of a sudden, and you don't have any utilities all of a sudden. So you can travel all over the US as far as you want, saving money. It's great. You can go to all of the national parks, get the annual National Park Pass. It's like $100 for every single national park, unlimited visits in the United States. State parks are different, but all the national parks, which are amazing, you can just drive to a different one each month, and you can set up a camping fee in them, or you can just park on the public land, or, like I did, in Walmarts a lot of the time. I just go to the corner of an empty Walmart parking lot, silent, until, the next morning at 10 a.m. or whatever, and then you can stay there, or you can drive to the next place. I don't think you can stay in Walmart parking lots more than 3 days at a time, but that's not bad for free rent, for free space, basically. So yeah, the initial cost of the RV looks like a lot, but if you can scrape together really 1 to 5,000, well, 3,000 is a pretty safe average for a running RV. After 2 months, you are just saving money because of the exorbitant cost of living in the US. And if you're inside an RV, you can do pretty much any remote job from there because you have free electricity. You can charge your laptop. I set up a little office in the back on my queen-sized bed, and I can cook every day, so I'm not spending... Okay, yeah, you know what? Go to the RV episode. I talk about all of this, and it's fantastic. I love RVs. I loved the time I had in an RV. You can travel around and save money by living in an RV. And you're going to learn a ton of valuable skills, and people are going to want to talk to you. It's great. Frugal travel also comes with planning. You can plan ahead. If you research stuff, you're going to be like, wait, what? And you probably won't recognize these cheap opportunities in the beginning because they just don't seem real. Like in Japan, it's perfectly legal and culturally acceptable to camp in public spaces. So public parks, they're good. Courtyards, they're good. I lived in the courtyard of Edo Castle. That's the city ninjas come from, famously in Japan. And there's a huge castle there, and I hammock camped out there for, I don't know, about a week or something, because it was a cool, imperial Japanese castle with a beautiful courtyard, and it's legal and culturally accepted to camp in Japan. So if you read these travel guides, but you've never publicly camped before, you can be like, well, I can't do that. That's weird. I don't know how to do that. But it just means public camping. It means you can camp anywhere. And Japan is one of the countries you can do that in. Ireland used to be super friendly with that, but it's such a small country that so much of the land isn't public that it's difficult to do that as much as you want. I still did it every day in Ireland. I urban camped all across Ireland. But there are Vietnam, yeah, it's fine. New Zealand, pretty cool with camping everywhere. Just not on private property, obviously. But if you just read about the different countries, they tell you, like a lot of the guides are like, and if you want, you can just camp here. It's legal. And if they say that, you look it up in a couple other places, make sure that that's true, and then do it. Like, save some money, camp around the cities you want to live in, but you don't have the money to live in yet. And it's free then for you to camp there. You get the transportation over there. And if you live in that country for 3 months, like I did in Japan, it's magical. Like Japan, I walked across Japan for 3 months, so I paid zero rent the whole time I was in Japan. I bought the half-off supermarket sushi, which in Japan starts being half off at like 3 p.m., and it was always made that day because they're a foodie nation, I guess you can say. Like, they're so strict on fresh food that after sushi's, even if it's on ice, after it's been out for a few hours, it's old trash. So for 3 months, I'd walk a marathon a day, roughly 20 miles a day, east to west or north. I went north and south a lot, going to different towns. I'd stop into a supermarket, grab a huge tray of sushi, devour it, feel great, set up my hammock, go to bed, take a public bath for $3 all day, get totally clean, and keep going on my walk. So I stayed in Japan for 3 months, and I probably spent $700 in total. I would guess about $700. Certainly no more than $1,000. I can't imagine spending more than $300 a month in Japan. Because a lot of the times I also just cooked my own meals when there wasn't a supermarket right next to me. I had curry blocks in my back, and I bought local mushrooms for $1 and then made curry and noodles or curry and rice in a little cookware kit. Ooh, I gotta talk about my camping in Japan trip too. That was a cool trip. Okay, yeah, Japan has those public baths like I mentioned too. So different countries just offer different opportunities to travel cheaply. And truck stop bathrooms in the US, despite every comedic joke you've heard about them, are generally very clean, and $5 to $7 for a shower, which is expensive compared to Japan, but very cheap compared to any other service in the US. And you can take a full hot shower, plug in your shaver, clean everything as much as you want. So even if you're car camping, you could spend $200 extra and shower and shave every day, and just keep clean. Even if you're car camping, use the facilities there if you want to, of course. These opportunities are everywhere. And frugal travel is certainly possible in whatever situation you are in. Oh, exercise parks, real quick. Tons of countries have exercise parks too. Now, exercise parks and, the truck stops in the States, it's probably better if you just sign up for a gym membership and do that. But that is up to you. However you want to swing it. Just have a great time. It's very doable. If you're not sure about your specific situation, write to me. bitofarambler@gmail.com. I will see your message. If I haven't answered your question in this podcast, I will get back to you. And I might even get back to you anyway, because I travel all the time and I don't have to work anymore, and I'm just chilling most of the time. I'm hiking or sitting around reading or just doing whatever. Oh, I'm binging The Good Place in 3 days. Okay, as a final note, I'll just let you know the hostel I stayed at is called the Siem Reap Chilled Backpacker Hostel. And it is available for $3 a day right now, $90 a month. It has a pool, a restaurant, a bar, a pool table, actually, hardwood paneling, beanbags around the pool. It's great, and it's $90 a month. Your rent will be $90 a month, all utilities included, if you travel in Cambodia starting tomorrow. Cambodia's visa on arrival, by the way, so that's possible. Oh, and the longer you travel in one place, the cheaper it is because of your initial travel cost. So if it's an expensive flight, $250 from LA to Japan, or let's say you don't plan at all and you just buy the most expensive ticket, you don't even look at the prices, and you end up paying $400 for that flight, that's pretty pricey from LA to Japan. But if you do pay that and you stay for 1 month, then you have to add $400 to the cost of staying in Japan. If you stay for 2 months, you're only adding $200 per month. And if you stay for 3, then you're only adding $130 per month. And it's a visa-free travel to stay 3 months in Japan. And Japan's amazing and huge and beautiful and so comfortable to live in. So you might as well stay there. You should stay in Japan for 3 months. It's obviously cheaper the longer you stay in one country each time you travel. If the extra couple hundred isn't a big deal to you, great. If it is, just stay in the country an extra month and you don't have any travel costs that month. Okay, that really is the end of this. I'll probably do another one at some point because I'm sure I've forgotten most of everything there is to know about frugal travel, but that's a good start. Go ahead and write to me if you have any questions, and I will catch you on the flip side.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No